Hey kids, today's scriptures are all about resurrection. Do you know what that is? It's a big word. Resurrection is coming to life after you're dead. The passages, the scriptures we heard today are about the church trying to figure out what Jesus' resurrection meant. It's not just about a physical question of a body. It's about a whole meaning for what life is like. And what that means is almost like death is more like being asleep. You know, it's like you go down and you're quiet and the body is still, and then it wakes up and comes to life once again. And this analogy, this metaphor, really carries over for so many things, because it turns out there's a lot of things that are scary in life, a lot of things to be afraid of, and death is one of them. And so if Jesus already defeated death by his resurrection, that's what the Apostle Paul says, that Jesus' resurrection means the defeat of death. Death doesn't mean what it meant anymore before. So what's fascinating is that Paul thinks that it's not just about the question of Jesus' body, it's a question about what kind of a life we're going to live. And so Paul talks about this thing called sin. And basically, sin for Paul is the automatic reaction to fear, right? Because death is the ultimate thing to fear, and Jesus conquered death. And so for Jesus' followers and those who have the Spirit of Jesus and invite Jesus to live in and through them and live toward Jesus, the big question is, are we still going to live in fear and the automatic fearful reactions that drive so many things we do and think and say? And so the sin is this binding, Paul calls it slavery, of this automatic thing that can happen, this reaction that can happen when we're afraid. And so life in Jesus is about freedom. We don't have to be afraid in the same way. We don't have to react to our fear in the same way, be controlled by it. Not because we just feel differently, but because Jesus has opened up a different world for us to live in. And by his resurrection. Today, there's a lot to be afraid of. I don't know if you've heard about this thing, the coronavirus. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you all wear masks. And I'm sure you've seen less of your friends and are going out less and everything. And it feels different and sometimes scary. And so the resurrection means we don't have to be bound by that fear. We don't have to be controlled by it or have all of our options handed to us automatically by those things. I mean, to the extent where the Apostle Paul, in his writing in the book of Romans, he starts making fun of death. He's like, oh yeah, death, where's your sting, baby? He's like, you know how you've been, but it's not the same anymore, you know what I mean? And so Paul is like, we're going to throw a party because Jesus isn't dead anymore, because Jesus is alive and we're alive through Jesus, and we don't have to be slave to sin. We don't have to be slave to fear. And that's the resurrection party. So just remember today, when you feel a little bit afraid, start dancing. Resurrection party.